Agnes Donalan used the drug thalidomide when she was pregnant. When her son was born, she was shocked.
Total shock, absolutely total shock. Because he didn't look like a baby. The bottom half didn't look like a baby. He looked like a little tadpole.
25 years later, this is her son, Kevin.
Hello? Some people are quite surprised. They come into the office and they say, I'm looking for Mr. Donalan. And I say, well, I'm Mr. Donalan.
When he came out of Moscow and landed in Vienna, there was a letter from Nancy Reagan waiting for him.
Mm-hmm.
And what did the letter say, if I may?
The letter said, first of all, that I welcomed him to this country, and then said that we would be very happy if he would give his first concert here at the White House.
Belize has always been the odd country out, free of the corruption, the dictators, guerrilla movements of its neighbors. Its ingredients would seem to be a recipe for disaster. Every race, color, religion you can think of. Creoles and Carib Indians, whites and blacks and Asians all coagulating into a quite content society. No sweat at all.
You can trust the police.
Precisely.
You can trust the government.
I would certainly hope so.
Which is saying a lot for Central America.
I'm Mike Wallace.
I'm Morley Safer.
I'm Harry Reasoner.
I'm Ed Bradley.
I'm Diane Sawyer. Those stories and Andy Rooney tonight on 60 Minutes.
This portion of 60 Minutes is sponsored by AT&T, the right choice.
When I talked about how we deal with our customers, or any customer I'd have, you get to know them personally. And eventually it becomes a relationship where they're not just a BC company, they're people. They know that I got all these products and these different things behind me, but they are talking to me, Roy Cartwright. And I'm going to sit across the table and I'm going to say, I'm going to take care of you. When you take away all the titles, it's really down to two people interfacing with each other.
This all-new Cutlass Supreme is without a doubt the hottest Cutlass ever built. The Washington Post called it a rolling, happy seduction. Car and Driver said wow. And Auto Week hailed it as a worthy successor to a proud name. And now Oldsmobile is making it possible for your Olds dealer to pass along savings of up to $775 on select new Cutlass Supremes equipped with air conditioning.
In the early 60s, a new tranquilizer advertised as the wonder drug was marketed in Europe. It was considered so safe that it was prescribed for pregnant women for morning sickness and insomnia. The wonder drug's name was thalidomide, and it caused one of the biggest medical tragedies of our time. Thalidomide was never approved for general use in the United States, but in Europe, women who had taken the drug in early pregnancy gave birth to babies with terrible deformities. Many of those children died at birth. Some have been in institutions all of these years. None of them had bright futures. But in Britain, 400 of the thalidomides, as they are called, have grown to adulthood. And as we first reported last February, some of them have done better than anyone dared hope 25 years ago.
Hey, darling.
This film was shot in 1965 when Tom Yendel was 3 years old. His mother had taken the drug thalidomide, and he was born with no arms at all.
Put your arms on. Oh.
He was fitted with artificial limbs, the logical thing to do for a person who has no arms. Not for Tom.
Have you ever tried eating with your feet before?
Tom Yendel got rid of those artificial arms a long time ago.
You've got more chips than I have.
They didn't work well, and besides, Tom says he didn't need them as long as he had his feet.
Pour some water. Who wants water? You think I can do it?
Tom now spends some of his time trying to show children that people can live with their disabilities. Tom delights in challenging our preconceived notions. Listen to this.
I don't know why you need your arms. I mean, I think that's...
Well, because I was born with them and I'm used to using them.
If I was the norm and you were the odd one out, and people would think, my goodness, isn't he weird with those things dangling by his side? And you'd save a lot of money. Just think what you'd save on gloves. I mean, I save a lot of money. Sleeves on jackets. I mean, you spend an awful lot of money on things that you don't need, like wristwatches.
Cufflinks.
Cufflinks, yeah. Underarm deodorant.
Tom says that just about anything you can do with your hands, he can do with his feet or his chin. If he has a regret, it's that he can't shake hands. But if people feel sorry for him because he has no arms, he won't hesitate to take advantage of them.
If an old lady comes up in the street and says, here's £5, and she's giving it because of my disability, well, I take it, because she thinks, you know, thinks I need £5 because I've got no arms. Well, it's her own fault, really.
Tom discovered at an early age that he had a natural talent for painting, and he now earns his living as an artist. He used to paint with his feet, but found it easier to use his mouth.
The amount of people who come up and say, oh, isn't that clever? I couldn't even do that with my hands. I mean, I'm not artistic because I haven't got any arms. I'm artistic because I'm artistic.
Tom works in his studio at home. For the moment, he lives alone, but is getting married later this year when his fiancée finishes college.
Lucy's an artist as well, so that when we're near her, it would be nicer to be able to go to exhibitions or to sit in the art, in the studio and work together. She's lovely.
She's able-bodied, yes?
Yeah. She's very able-bodied.
He's learned to live with the physical damage caused by thalidomide, but does he have no resentment for what this drug did to him before he was even born?
I lead such a full life that there's no resentment in it. And somebody's got to have disability, and I'd much rather it be me who can cope with it than somebody who will answer that question as, yes, I feel resentment.
Kevin Donalan was born in Liverpool on the day thalidomide was withdrawn from the British market. Early in her pregnancy, his mother had trouble sleeping and her doctor prescribed the drug. She took only 3 pills. Nothing had prepared Agnes for the moment when she first saw her son. No one had said a word.
When I opened the blanket, well, total shock, absolutely total shock. Because he didn't look like a baby. The bottom half didn't look like a baby. He looked like a little tadpole. You know, the little tiny little things there. And I just sat and held him. With the tears, tears. Thing.
If you had known Kevin's condition before he was born,
Yes.
what would you have done?
Yes, I think I would have had an abortion. If you want honesty, yes. Of course I would.
Even today, seeing how he is managed and how he survived?
Yes. Yeah, I do. Yes, I do.
Kevin was born without any arms or legs. His hands and feet have missing digits and grow from his body in a way that is typical of the deformity thalidomide caused. After a long court battle with the company that had manufactured the drug, Kevin was awarded only $35,000 in compensation.
There's millions of people infinitely worse than me. I mean, I've got a brain. I can see, I can hear, I can talk to you now. All my senses are there, you know, and I've got emotions. I mean, I think it would have been far worse if I was unable to communicate to people. So I feel quite lucky in some ways.
This was Kevin at 11 years old. He went to a regular school in a tough section of Liverpool. There were few concessions to his disability. As far as possible, he was treated just like any of the other kids. But at home, it was different. He required constant care from his mother to do the things the rest of us take for granted, the sort of care everyone thought he'd need for the rest of his life. But 3 years ago, Kevin decided that he was a grown man and it was time for him to leave the nest. He now lives alone in a modest apartment where he slowly learned to take care of himself.
At first, it took me about an hour to get dressed, but now I've got it down to about 20 minutes. You know, from like underwear to, you know, top clothing.
To be honest, I didn't think he'd last about 3 months. I thought he would come home. He's a determined person. And he stuck it out, and I don't think he could come back home now. But I'll go along with it. Because it's what Kevin wants. He's 26. He's old enough to make his own decisions. He's a grown man. As Robbie Burns said, a man is a man for all that, right?
Away from home, Kevin moves around on wheels. He has an electric wheelchair and his own car, which is fitted with special controls. It takes a long time for Kevin to get in his car, but he says the only time he feels equal to everyone else is when he's behind the wheel. The real problem is that he drives faster than just about everyone else and keeps getting pulled over for speeding.
The police call me up and the first thing they say is, "Can you step out the car, please?" Then I say, "Well, I can't actually, officer, I'm disabled." Then they look in the car and then they say I'm disabled. Then they go all bright red and embarrassed, and then
The police get embarrassed?
yeah, and then they start asking me questions about, you know, how the car is adapted, etc. And then they let me off because they're fascinated with the way the car's adapted.
And they never write you up?
No, I've only been prosecuted once where I paid the fine, but I'm usually let off. You know?
Kevin has also managed to find a full-time job. He works as an information officer with the government social services department, advising people about their welfare benefits.
Some people are quite surprised. They come into the office and they say, "I'm looking for Mr. Donalan." And I say, "Well, I'm Mr. Donalan." They're quite relaxed, you know, once they realise that I can give the advice they're looking for.
Working full-time has been easy compared to some of the problems he's had when it comes to women. Kevin met his first girlfriend through a telephone dating service.
This girl was chatting to me and she said, "You sound nice, how tall are you?" So I thought, what shall I tell her here? So I said, "Oh, I'm 6'2", I think, but I haven't measured myself lately." And eventually she got my private home number, she got my real name, and she started phoning me up. She said, "Oh, you know, I'd love to meet you, you sound really nice." So then eventually I said, "Actually, I've got a confession to make. I'm not really 6'2". Then there was silence at the other end of the line and she said, "Well, how tall are you then?" And I said, "I haven't really measured myself, but I suppose about 2.5 foot." And then there was like complete silence for ages, and then she said, "Oh." And then I said, "Have you ever heard of thalidomide?" She said, "Well, you sound dead nice anyway, I'll come down and meet you." So we had a relationship from there, so that was like my first serious girlfriend. Yeah, okay, then I'll see you tonight, all right. Cheers.
There were other girlfriends after that first one, and at least one of them left him so heartbroken he took an overdose.
I'm not sure whether I wanted to actually kill myself, I just wanted to get people to wake up to the fact that I had this problem. I don't see why I shouldn't get married, because I've got a job, I can live on my own, and I know I can have an ordinary relationship, because I've had relationships, you know, sexual and emotional relationships. That's not a problem. It's just finding the right girl really is the problem.
Well, we all have that problem.
Well, that's right. It's just that I generally tend to blame my disability. At least I've got something to blame, you know, when things don't go right.
Agnes also now lives alone. She says Kevin changed the lives of everyone in her family, that they were all victims of thalidomide. Kevin's father died prematurely, Agnes says, from the strain, and she herself was often close to a breakdown. She most regrets the way her other children suffered.
My two oldest boys, because they obviously did feel the strain, but they weren't going to tell Mum and Dad then. While they were 19 and 21, they left home. I've never seen them since.
How many years ago was that?
12 years. I don't blame them, really.
You know, you look at all of this, Kevin, given what he has, it seems so well adjusted.
He was the only one that came out of it perfect, mentally. He was the only one out of all of us that came out normal.
Mark.
25 years on, the thalidomide generation has created a new generation. Many thalidomides have married and had children, and those kids don't bear the thalidomide scars of their parents. Alan, Russell, and Mark are the 3 healthy sons of Kim Whitford. Kim was born with legs that were just stumps and hands that were misshapen because her mother took 2 thalidomide pills when she was expecting her. Kim says she never had any doubts about having children. She can look after them as well as any other mother, and the boys accept her just the way she is. But sometimes they do try to take advantage of her.
The middle son was kicking the eldest, and I told him if he didn't stop kicking him, that I'd kick him. And he said, "You can't, you haven't got any legs." So the middle one notices it more.
What did you say to him?
I kicked him.
Kim has had artificial legs since she was a child, but during her pregnancy, she was advised not to wear them. She's now having to learn to get used to them all over again. It was because of those legs that she first met her husband, Clive. She was just 17, and it was love at first sight.
I just had a new pair of legs made, and I got my first pair of high heel shoes, 2.5-inch heel. Went into the disco and there was a puddle of water. I slipped and fell in the water and my husband picked me up. And he asked me out, so...
You never met him before?
No.
What did you think? Just another boyfriend here?
Yeah. But later that night I knew I'd marry him.
That night?
That night I knew I was going to marry him.
But before they were married, Kim wanted Clive to know just what he was letting himself in for. So one night, she invited him home.
And I said to him, I'll just go in and take my legs off and let you see, because he had never seen me without my legs. So I went into my mum's bedroom, took my legs off, went back into the living room, and he didn't say anything. He said, you look the same as when you've got your legs on. So that was it. And, I explained that I'll need a few things done, more than normal people would need. And he said, well, I'm prepared to cope. And he did. He has done.
When you go out today, you can see people whispering or people giving you a second look?
Well, yes, but it doesn't bother me. I've got my husband and my children, and that's all that matters to me.
That security and inner strength have given Kim the confidence to take up a part-time career where people stare at her all the time.
Let's have a nice Pacino's welcome for Kim Whitford.
To me, I'm as normal as anyone. I feel normal. I act normal. I've never considered myself disabled, really. I can't go mountain climbing or water skiing or anything like that, but they're not the kind of things I want to do.
You don't consider yourself disabled. What do you consider yourself?
A normal, healthy, happy human being.
Oh, how real those roses seem to be. But they're only imitation, like your imitation love for me.
Ford profiles in quality, prevention.
A small imperfection in a part can be overlooked by the human eye. That's why Ford has installed vision machines like this on many of our engine and transmission assembly lines. These machines help detect imperfections before they are assembled in our cars and trucks. At Ford, we believe in prevention.
This profile in quality is one reason Ford Motor Company has designed and built the highest quality American cars and trucks for 8 years running. At Ford, quality is job one.
Whatever your hands do this summer morning, make sure one of them is taking breakfast by the hand at McDonald's, America's morning place.
The good time, great taste of McDonald's.
Mom, listen. Well, of course you hardly hear anything. It's my new Whirlpool dishwasher. Cleans great and it's so quiet. Mom, what's all that noise? Oh, it's your dishwasher.
Whirlpool.
You asleep?
No.
Thinking about the house?
Yes.
Sure we can afford it?
No.
Uptight?
Yes.
Buying a home can make you a little uneasy when you don't know what to expect. But if you get the new Best Buyer Guidebook from Coldwell Banker, we'll take you through every step, from finding a home to financing it. So don't get left in the dark.
Is it going to be okay?
Call Coldwell Banker and expect the best. A member of the Sears Financial Network.
Jessica, what is this all about?
An artist's been murdered. His model is missing, and every one of these suspects has an alibi.
That's very strange.
Stay tuned.
On Jake and the Fat Man.
Money. Maybe it's money.
I can put a rook away.
An assassin. An unlikely accomplice.
I'm having a heart attack.
And a deadly payoff.
I could have identified you in the lineup, but I didn't.
Blackmail is not right.
Get the whole story Wednesday at 8.
This is WCCO Television.
Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Channel 4.
The past year in the life of 35-year-old piano virtuoso Vladimir Feltsman has been stranger than fiction. Until August a year ago in Moscow, he was a musical non-person. He couldn't play concerts, could not make recordings. He was dispirited, depressed. Today, he is a free man in America, admired, praised by the critics, making big money, lionized by the public. As we said when we first broadcast this story last December, the American dream is the story of Vladimir Feltsman. It is the day before his first concert in the United States, rehearsal in the East Room, for a concert he was invited to play by Nancy Reagan. And he has decided to begin with the Star-Spangled Banner. We had met Feltsman first in January of 1987 in his apartment in Moscow. He had been in deep trouble with the Soviet government for 8 years, ever since he had applied for a visa to emigrate to Israel. The Soviets had refused to let him go.
Well, I am Jewish. That's a fact.
Yeah.
And I apply for exit visa to Israel because I'm Jewish. That's only way for people to leave this country, if they want. For Jews, I mean.
In other words, you could not apply to go to Paris or London?
No.
Or New York?
The only thing what I want to get, what I wanted and still want to get, is to play here and elsewhere without bureaucratic problems and troubles. Well, maybe I'm too selfish. Maybe, but I was born to play piano, I'm sorry.
Seven months later, Moscow airport. Miraculously, it seemed, through the intervention of the U.S. ambassador to Moscow, through the private pleading of the Secretary of State, George Shultz, through the urging of the President and the First Lady, and through Glasnost, suddenly Feltsman was told that he could leave. With his wife Anna, his son Daniel, amid bittersweet goodbyes, finally Feltsman was on his way west. Not to Israel, but to the United States.
Attention please, airport departure for Kuwait Abu Dhabi, flight 521. All passengers please proceed to departure immediately, gate number 16.
Arrival at JFK Airport in New York, and the Feltsmans got their first taste of what was in store for them in the United States.
At the camera. At the camera. Vladimir, here you go.
Just 5 weeks later, the Feltsmans arrive in Washington on the day before his White House concert. On that rehearsal day, Nancy Reagan told us how she had first learned about Vladimir Feltsman.
I had heard about him through our son, Ron, who had been in the Soviet Union twice on assignment, and had met him, and came home and told us all about him, and the fact that he would like to come out. And then when I read in the paper that his name was on the list, I was very happy.
And what did you do about it?
I wrote him a letter and had it delivered.
Sent it to Moscow?
No, I had it delivered to Vienna, where he landed.
You mean when he came out of Moscow and landed in Vienna, there was a letter from Nancy Reagan waiting for him?
Mm-hmm.
And what did the letter say, if I may?
The letter said, first of all, that I welcomed him to this country. I was so happy for him. And I don't think I'll tell him everything I said. And then said that we would be very happy if he would give his first concert here at the White House. And we gave him a couple of dates. And I heard back from him right away.
He played a classical program, and then for one of his encores, he delighted his new American friends with some Scott Joplin ragtime.
Vladimir, with all our hearts, we welcome you and Anna and Daniel to the United States and to freedom. God bless you.
Yes.
From the moment he landed in the United States, Feltsman has been besieged by the press, but he has been a willing victim.
With a meeting, with a summit with Mr. Gorbachev.
And the press reaction to Feltsman's arrival in the United States and to his White House performance could hardly have been more glowing. You don't have that kind of media attention or hype or whatever you call it in the Soviet Union?
Never.
Are you comfortable with it here, truly, or is there too much of it?
I can tell you the truth. I like it. If anybody on my place will tell you that they don't like all this noise and attention, they are tired, it will be nonsense. We all like it. We all have our ego, and I have my ego very high, so I like it.
Vladimir and Anna are inseparable. They stroll the New York streets together, picking up the newspapers and magazines that will help them discover America. They revel in the sights, the sounds, the energy of their Manhattan neighborhood. And Anna has begun to understand how the role of an artist's wife in the United States differs from what she had known in the Soviet Union.
Here in the West, wives play a very big role with their husbands. And they have their own life and they just support. But in Russia, it was not custom. They just prefer to stay at home. And I don't know why, but they prefer not to share their wives. I don't know what reasons they have, but here it's normal for the wife to take a big part in the life of their husbands.
Like so many Europeans, especially the Soviet emigres who come to settle in New York City, the Feltsmans love its parks, its distractions, its towering skyline. Two hours away in upstate New York, Feltsman has rented a country home near the State University at New Paltz, where he's been given a professorship in music history, and where he has the solitude he needs to practice and to practice.
Messages, it's very well composed and...
He teaches just one class a week at the university. His students are mostly professionals, music teachers, musicologists, some graduate students. But mostly his focus is on his concert career. He has thought a great deal about it. He is canny, ambitious, and determined.
Of course, you have to be very smart. You have to be very careful. You have to play good. You have to have a lot of very important things inside you. But if you are gifted, if you know how to work, if you know how to deal with people, if you're smart enough, if you are sweet shark, let's put it.
Sweet shark.
Sweet shark. And you have to be kind of sweet shark in our world, in our business, let's say.
You mean the music business?
Yes. You will get it, Mike. You will get it.
And you are a sweet shark.
Look at my teeth.